So I found my way to the sea. Here I am at my local beach, and this is a really good day for collecting some materials from the beach. There's just an endless supply of materials, and the only limit to that is our creativity. And what we're going to do is do a little scout around the beach here this afternoon, and look to see what we can find. We're looking for different kinds of sands, shingles, maybe some rocks, maybe some shells, seaweed, things that wash up that should be here on the shore, maybe some things that shouldn't be washing up on the shore. So think of things like marine litter. We're going to find anything that we're grabbed by, that we feel like we have to take a hold of and take back with us for our art. I also think it's worth mentioning about collecting natural materials. We have to be really, really mindful of working with nature, and to do it in a celebration of nature, but not to take too much, essentially, and to leave no trace as we go. So I feel like when I use things that are of the natural world, I do it sustainably, ethically, and there's a couple of ways in which I do that. I think one thing is to take away from the beach things that shouldn't be there, take away more of that. So things like marine litter, maybe plastic bottles have washed up. I get a lot of flat rigid plastic that washes up here. There are other beaches where other things wash up. It could even be rubbish that people have just left here on the beach, because not everyone is as responsible as others. So take more of that and recycle it or dispose of it ethically than you take natural materials. And secondly, I also feel like with anything that's like foraging related, beachcombing as well, I feel like if you can't tell that you've been there, you're doing something right. So if somebody can tell that you've dug a real great big hole and taken a huge load of shingle, you're doing something wrong. If you have a light touch and really think about whether you need that much material, I think that's a good way to have a good relationship with nature. We have to give back. We're in a relationship with the sea, and she needs us to care for her and look after her. So I think the way is to just be mindful of what we're taking, why we're taking it, and even there's some occasions where you may want to bring materials back that you've taken from the beach. Bring it back if you haven't used it. So the only thing that we really need to take to the beach with us, as well as this kind of responsible and ethical mindset going into it, all I'm going to bring is biodegradable dog bags. These are really lightweight. Let me show you. These are really lightweight, biodegradable. Some you can find are also compostable. And that's all we need to collect small amounts of materials. It really is that we only need a handful of each material, if that, to just play around with an experiment. And these are perfectly sized, so you can tie them up in a little bag, put them in your rucksack and get going. So yeah, dog bags are absolutely ideal, and also they're really lightweight, so they won't weigh you down on the way home if you're walking home, for example. And I think, without further ado, we should go and have a look and see what we can find. There's Jeffrey enjoying the sunshine, which has just come out over there. Beautiful, looking great today, the sun and the sea. So, you will see on any beach you've got a range of different sizes of stone and shingle. And I think what we're going to do first is get some of this probably sort of medium-sized shingle. Whoops. Pick up some of this, and then we're going to look for some that's a little bit smaller, but not quite sand, so that we've got some gradients of different texture as we go along. I'm going to start by bagging up some of this sort of medium, here we go, you can have a look at it. It's fairly coarse, this shingle. I'm going to put a couple of handfuls, small handfuls, in a bag and see where that takes us. Then I'm going to move on and have a look for some finer sand. So here we can see that it's a little bit finer still. You can see that. It's the pieces of the shells which are breaking down to form the sand are a little bit smaller. So we're going to bag a little bit of that up and see what we can do with it at the other end. It's actually quite dry on top because it's been quite a dry day, and it's wet as it goes underneath. Lovely. We've got 2 little bags. I mentioned at the start that there might be materials that you find on the beach that shouldn't belong on the beach, and as I mentioned, there's lots of flat, rigid pieces of hard plastic that wash up on our beach here in East Sussex. I'm going to pick this up and see if there are other pieces as we go along as well. So I was just wandering along looking for sand and different shingles, but actually I've stopped in my tracks because actually I found a fair amount of different shells on the shoreline there. So I thought I'd collect some of those as we go. They're fairly large actually, these ones, so I'm going to see what we can do with them. These are slipper limpets actually, get them quite a lot of them here. And some of them are being bashed about, so they're sort of half shells. Some of them are full shells. There's some limpets here as well, all sorts. And there are some smaller bits as well as larger bits as we go along. The more you look, the more you see basically. I've also found some dried up seaweed, which I'm also going to take with us. A few little straggly bits of dried up seaweed, which some of that is bladderwrack, of which we get a lot of here. I'm going to take that. Oh, that one's attached, so I'm going to leave that there. And here's some more. You can hear it crunching away. I'm going to put that in my bag. Just a few more shells here. Lovely. I think what's also really, really nice about this activity is to just take in all of the mindful moments. Listen to the sea. Sounding beautiful today. Look at the glimmers on the horizon line. Little excitations on the horizon line. Breathe in some of that lovely salty air. It's actually a beautiful, beautiful day, as most days are by the sea. And the other thing that's really magical about when you do a little bit of beachcombing for art is that you get to zone in on these little magical things that you wouldn't otherwise have done. So for example, that attached piece of bladderwrack that's dried up and is still attached to its rock that's weighing it down. And actually, look, as I've just looked over here, I see the claw of a crab. Whoops, a crab. Just down here. There's just so many little treasures to be found. There's another little part of a slipper limpet there as well. As I say, the more you look, the more you see, and it's never ending basically. We could just keep going. I could beachcomb forever, looking around. I did also just find a geode, which is a stone which is sort of open. It's got crystals inside of it. And for the life of me, I can't see where it's gone, but I'll have another look for it and see if I can find it. Okay, I found it. Can you see with this? You possibly can. But inside there, and it's actually the sun's just gone in, but inside here is these lovely little crystalline and it sparkles actually as you look at it. As the sun comes out, it's in all its glory. I'll try and capture it again later. It's like a little cave inside there, a little crystal cave. Right, I've now found some much finer sand here, which kind of goes through the fingers and can make for some very exciting texture when we get back to our art space. So I'm just going to collect a handful or two of that. It's lovely stuff. I'm going to give it a smell. Smells lovely. Yeah, really, really nice. It's not as fine as some beaches, so it's got a little bit of the coarser sand in there. Oh, there's the sunshine. Beautiful. Great. And actually, I took quite a dry sample on top there, so it won't have too much drying time at the other end. Okay. Now that we've got a little stash of materials, we're going to take some photos actually here, and we're going to have a good look around and see how the interplay between the natural materials, how we feel at the beach, how we feel being in the presence of the sea and the shoreline materials, how that come together when we're playing with the textures and the materials when we get to our art space.